session on handling welcome to the session on handling HTTP request and response, an HTML form. In this session, you will learn to identify the HTTP request methods, identify the parts that comprise HTTP requests and responses, create HTML forms. In one of the previous sessions, you learned the HTTP client-server architecture. Let's understand what is HTTP and its usage in the client-server architecture. The HTTP protocol is a communication protocol on the Internet. As shown on the screen, when the client sends a request, it is a resource that is specified by a URL in HTTP. It gets transferred to the server by using the HTTP protocol only. Then, the server processes the request and sends the response by using the same protocol. Therefore, HTTP is an important protocol to maintain communication between the client and server. Now, in this session you will learn more about the HTTP request and the HTTP response. An HTTP request gets created when a user sends a request to the server to access a web page by using the HTTP protocol. This request can be created by using a variety of methods. The displayed table shows the various HTTP request methods, with their description. The GET and POST methods are the commonly used HTTP request methods. The HTTP request header lines contain request information available in a request stream and provide details about the client request. When a user clicks on a hyperlink or submits a form, it generates a request stream. The request stream acts as an envelope to the requested URL and message body of the HTTP client request. This stream contains the HTTP request method information, request header information, and other required information for the server. The displayed figure shows an example of HTTP request stream of the HTTP GET method. In this figure, the request line shows the HTTP GET method, the URL and the HTTP version. The request line can be followed by any number of request header lines. Each request header includes the header name with its value, for example, connection, followed by a colon character and a space, and then the value of the header. The list of headers ends with a blank line. There can be an optional message body after the blank line. To know more about the request header lines, you can refer to the given link. As you know that the HTTP request header lines are available in a request stream, in the same manner, the HTTP response header lines are available in a response stream that contains response information. After processing the request, the web server sends the response to the client in the form of a response stream. The response stream acts as an envelope to the message body of the HTTP server response. This response stream contains status line, response headers, and message body, followed by a blank line. The displayed figure shows an HTTP response stream. In this figure, the status line includes the HTTP version number, which is followed by a space, and the numeric status code of the response, also known as the response message number. This is further followed by a space, and a short text message represented by the status code. The status line can be followed by any number of response header lines that conform to the same structure as request headers. The response header is followed by a blank line, which is further followed by the message body. To know more about the response header lines, you can refer to the given link. A web server can receive data from the client by using either of the two ways, by using the HTTP GET request or by using the HTTP POST request. Creating the GET request to provide data is easy because it can include parameters. But, to create a post request with data, you need to have an HTML form. The user fills the form and submits it. On submission of the form, the data gets transferred to the server in the form of post request. In the previous sessions, you have already learned the GET request. Now, let's understand the creation of an HTML form for the post request. An HTML form commonly contains text boxes, drop-down lists, checkboxes, radio buttons, and a submit button to create an HTML form. First, you need to understand the creation of some components of the form. Here, the displayed figure shows a text box that is used to take a year value as an input from the user. In the text box, a user must enter a single line of text. To create a text box, input tag is used, with the text type and the name attribute that specifies the text box name to refer as a parameter. The displayed HTML code snippet will create the preceding text box. Here, the name of the text box is given as the year. The displayed figure shows a drop-down list from which a user can select the season. To create a drop-down list, the select tag is used as the parent tag with multiple option tags as child tags. The name attribute of the select tag specifies the name of the list to refer as a parameter. The displayed HTML code snippet will create the preceding drop-down list. Here, the name of the drop-down list is given as season. The data specified in the value attribute of the option tag is sent in the request on the form submission. The body text of the option tag is displayed in the drop-down list. The displayed figure shows a submit button named Add League. When the user provides all the data in the form, the user must press the submit button to allow the form data to be sent to the server for processing. To create the submit button, use the input tag with the submit type. The displayed code will create the preceding submit button. The input tag shown in the example specifies submit as the value of the type attribute to create the submit button, although browsers, by default, will provide a label for the button, but you can also specify a label by using the value attribute. Here, add league label is used for the button. As you have learned about the basic components of an HTML form, let's see the code to create a form. In this code, the form tag is used with the action and method attributes. The action attribute specifies the controller name where the processing of data will be done on submission of the form. In addition, the method attribute specified as post represents the HTTP post request method. It is important to note that the form tag is a container tag that holds all the components of the form. The displayed figure shows the output of the preceding code. In this session, you learned that a browser can make HTTP requests using a variety of methods. The HTTP request stream and response stream are composed of various components. The form tag is used to create an HTML form. The input tag is used to create a text box or a submit button. Happy learning!